My full name is Osceola Scott Boomer. They call me Scotty.
And you were named after your dad?
My name was before I married. My name was Scott, and my name Osceola came from my grandfather, who was named Osceola. They called it Osceola Scott, and he was named after the Indian chief. I was the only Scott grandchild with a Scott name, so I got it.
How did your family come to Armstrong County?
They came on a train in 1912 to Goodnight. They had bought the farm before. My daddy had bought the farm. And they came in, everything came in a boxcar, and they stayed at a boarding house run by the Harts until they could get a place built and water on the farm. And then I was born there in 1915 in a two-room house. They were farmers. When I was a baby, they rented the farm to several families, and they ran a grocery store in this last building here. And they also had the gym theater. My mother worked in the store, and then she sold tickets at the gym theater at night, and I ran the streets. After I got big enough to walk, they decided they'd get me off the streets, and at 4 we moved to Goodnight, in the town of Goodnight. My folks still farmed, and my daddy, until my daddy died. And we rented the farm. And then Mother and I lived in Goodnight. She married when I was a senior, and we moved to Claude.
So running around Claude as a little kid, you probably know.
I heard plenty of stories on me, because the folks delivered groceries then. People called in their orders, and then they had what they called a jitney that they delivered the groceries in. And Dr. Ralph Carroll later was Dr. Ralph Carroll, but he was the delivery boy, and he'd set me in a box that they put the groceries in, a big old box on the back, and I'd ride with him while he delivered groceries.
Now, I heard a story that you had a swimming pool.
Yes. Mr. Earl Blanton had the waterworks in Claude, and they couldn't find a leak. And their dressing rooms on either side of the stage down, there were steps. And Mr. Blanton couldn't find the leak in this water. He looked and looked. And one day Mother said, I came into the grocery store, and I was wet as I could be, and she said, where have you been? And I said, in the swimming pool. And Tom Collins and Mansell Gwynn and some of the guys about that age had filled those dressing rooms with water, and they had them swimming pool there, and I had discovered it. It's a wonder I hadn't drowned. But that's where the water leak was in Mr. Blanton's the waterworks. I had plenty of stories they told on me. Some of them wish I had drowned.